Welcome back everybody to a brand new video. I'm your host, Amez the Storyteller, and today I have a legend from the past to tell you guys today. Oh my gosh, I was talking to my co-worker Clay today and he had never heard of the legend John Henry. Yes, this beefcake right here, look at that muscle and bed. Now if you guys don't know the story, it's incredible, tear-jerker, and manly. John Henry has to be the most manly story I've ever heard in my life. So essentially, guys, this man was a slave. Yes, he was an African-American slave owned by the ranch. And during the Emancipation Proclamation, he was free. However, the dick-headed slave owner, as you can see up here, that asshole, that fucker that should be burned alive on the stake, he fucking kidnapped John Henry's family, his wife and children. John Henry begged for their freedom, and the nasty slave owner said, "Bitch, I'ma kill him, I'm sorry, I'm just horrible. I'm just born an evil human being." And John Henry said, "Sir, please, give me my family." Now you see guys, John Henry was an incredible human being. Not only was he physically masculine and huge, massive, his physiology was incredible for the time period, but he had a heart of gold, guys. This dude did not care that his slave owners put him through hell. He did not care. He did not seek vengeance when he was freed. He simply sought a better life than he had previously. Okay? He didn't even try to kill his slave owner. When the slave owner took his family, I would have killed that man, right? If he took my family, but no. John Henry said, "I will do anything, give me my family back, anything you want." The slave owner, who was a man of opportunity, wanted to prove out a new sort of technology that had just arrived. This new technology was known as the locomotive carver. What this essentially did, guys, was it carved through mountains using tracks, and it pounded using steam power. Now, steam power takes a lot more time and energy and resources to power. You need a lot of water and a lot of coal to conduct that steam engine to move. Okay? So keep that in mind during this video, because that'll be important as to how this actually happened. Okay? Now, John Henry accepted the challenge that his slave owner proposed to him. His previous slave owner said that, "I just invested in this brand new machine called the locomotive driver. This locomotive driver can carve through mountains, John. It can go through anything it's up against. Now, if you can beat my machine carving through the mountain, supporting the railways, I'll give you back your family, and I'll never harass you again." Now, John, being a man of great willpower, that's what separates heroes from men and women, everybody. Heroes have willpower beyond belief. It doesn't matter what you do, what the action is, as long as you do it with the utmost potential you have, then you are a hero. And that's what John Henry is to me, guys. So John Henry said deal, and he shook on it. And John met with his family. His family cried for his sake. They begged him not to go. "Please, John, don't go do this. Don't go up against that locomotive. You're sure to lose. It's a machine. It doesn't feel. It can't get tired." But John Henry said, "Honey, don't worry about it. I'll be back in the morning." So John Henry walked out. And for unknown reasons, he didn't return until the morning to eat breakfast. And when he was eating breakfast, he looked at his family and gave him a hug. Said to his family, "I love you." And then he went. Now, this event in West Virginia was huge. Photographers everywhere, journalists everywhere. This was the documented story of the century. People were talking about this for ages, and just they were so excited to see who would win. And the reason they were so excited was because of this man right here. John Henry had the physique of a god. He was like If you had Phil Heath in the 1800s, that was John Henry. John Henry could go through anything, right, as long as he had his trusty hammer. His hammer that he used to work on the railroads with. He used to boom, 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 hit the railroad tracks all the way down. He would do 1,000 men's jobs in one day, right? The dude was so efficient, top dog everywhere he went, but he didn't hold it above people. He was never arrogant. He was kind and loving. He never wanted to be above anybody. He wanted to be free. And not only did he want to be free, guys, he wanted to have his family and live his life. Okay? That is respectable and commendable. But now, in this moment, standing side by side against a machine, looking at the mountainside that hadn't been carved out yet. There was no dents in this mountain yet, ladies and gentlemen. This mountain was pure. And John Henry stared at the mountain, and seemingly so did the locomotive. And as soon as the gunshot fired, boom, 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 John, with two hammers, not one sledgehammer, two sledgehammers, went to work, carving out, boom, 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 like a jackhammer all the way through. Right, the locomotive was right behind him. 6 grueling hours of boom, 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 boom. And all of a sudden, the other side of the mountain collapsed. And there stood John Henry. The locomotive nowhere to be seen. It had broken down 2 hours ago. John Henry had beaten the locomotive by 2.5 hours, ladies and gentlemen. 2 sledgehammers, one in either arm. Sweat pouring down out of every pore. He looked at the crowd and nodded. Then he looked at his family and took a step. And that's when this great man collapsed. John Henry was pronounced dead at the scene. He went into cardiac arrest after the strain. His body couldn't keep up with his willpower, and it shut down on him. John Henry was an incredible man. He fought for his family and his freedom, and his story lives on to this day. He has a monument in West Virginia, which does not do him justice, but it's something. Even next to the mountain in which they had carved out with a sledgehammer. Was John Henry real? Some say yes, some say no. I believe it to be true. I believe this great man is one we should be telling. A man who stood in the face of adversity, who was spit on, whipped, and just so, he was guttered straight from the beginning. And that didn't stop him from trying to live his best life. Right? As soon as the Emancipation Proclamation was announced, John was trying to take his family and work on honest living to become something in this new era. And he didn't have the chance to because of greed. Because his previous slave owner had purchased an investment for the locomotive and became one of the richest men in the South. That man died a quick death. He was shot in a duel. But, guys, the moral of the story is to just follow your heart and never give up. I know John Henry died at the end, and I know that's sad, but look at his accomplishment. He proved that machine does not overpower men, and that if you have enough willpower, you can obtain anything. Even if it is risky, even if your life is for sure on the line. It's a 60-40 shot. You're going to lose your life, and the 60 is the higher better. Still, if it's worth it, go for it. John Henry lived his life to the fullest. He made strides in of itself. I mean, the man was just incredible. Inspired me so much to do what I do today. And it's just incredible to me. And when I was talking to my coworker, I was so surprised he hadn't heard the story of John Henry, and I thought I'd make a video on him. This is going to be my new series called The Legends of the Past, and John Henry is definitely a legend from the past. The man defied all logic. Everybody had their money bet on the locomotive, but however, John just came out on top. He may have died at the end, but he showed that machine still doesn't conquer man. Even in this era, even in the new age, it will never conquer man. And freedom is always something worth fighting for, guys. Never ever let somebody take away your freedom in any way. If you feel like your freedoms are being infringed on, you fight for it. But anyway, guys, I hope you liked today's video. It was kind of short for me, but I love John Henry's story. I grew up with John Henry, Babe the Big Blue Ox, and so many other American folklores. And this one in particular gave me goosebumps because it was just so manly. It was so cool, and it was just awesome. You know what I mean? So yeah, if you guys liked the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Tell me who you want your next legend to be featured on here to be. Alright guys, love you all. Mez the Storyteller, out.